Hey, and welcome back to another video on Rise to War. Today we're going to talk about some more advanced aspects of the game, like strengthening and refining equipment, some of the different skills that gear offers, what gear you should be looking for your commanders, as well as some troops and troop counters. When it comes to gear, one of the main things you want to look at is the base stats that it augments, and the stats of the commanders you plan on putting it on. So if we look at AjMcGamer here, he's obviously a might based or a physical damage based commander. So I went with a full helm that gives him plus 15 to might. The one he's got on has cleanse as an ability. That's not too bad, but I ended up picking up this other full helm that has hysteria. Every 2 rounds against one enemy target, 15% chance to inflict madness for 1 round. Now 15% on its own isn't great. That's where strengthening and refining comes in. So we'll take a look at that here. Strengthening equipment is what increases the base stats. Refining is what increases percentages on your abilities. When I refine this using the other full helm, my chance for hysteria goes up to 30%. Now, when it comes to refining, you have to refine with a piece of gear with the same name. So as you saw there, this full helm needed to be refined with another full helm. It doesn't have to have the same ability, but it has to be the same piece of gear. So when it comes to gear in general, they have 2 different stats. Your base stats up top, and then a bonus ability at the bottom from blue and higher rarity. As you can see coming up with the Haradrim Scarf, each unique piece of gear share the same base stats. So each Haradrim Scarf is going to have might and focus as the base stats. It's the ability underneath that's going to change depending on the piece of gear that you pick up. So each one of those may fit better with different commanders than others. And so as you'll see here, going through the different pieces of gear, there are different pieces of gear for different kinds of commander builds. Now another thing to keep in mind are race restrictions. You'll see up in the top right the little bar for required and little pictures. Those represent the different races that can use the piece of equipment that you're trying to equip. So there are some commanders that just can't use certain pieces of equipment, and that does suck sometimes. You'll also see a little portrait in the top left of the gear at the top of your inventory. This lets you know which commander you've got that gear equipped on. Okay, now let's talk about units and some counters. So when you start the game, you might be overwhelmed by the amount of different units that are actually available. It is kind of important to build all the different buildings and have access to as many different troops as you can, because as you can see, each different troop kind of specializes in its own area. Some are better against high defense, some prioritize ranged, some have bonus damage against mounted units. On the good side, there are troops that have bonus damage against large units. One of the other big counters that is important for good factions early on, especially Gondor, is Oathbreakers. They're immune to physical damage, but they are susceptible to focus damage, as you'll see here. So if you use the right commander with the right troops, you can take out Oathbreakers really easily. Troop counters is one of the most important aspects of the game in my opinion. If you really understand the troops being used and utilize the troops available to you to the best of your abilities, then you should have a pretty easy time on the battlefield. And this just goes back to reading your battle reports from my beginner's tips video. As I said, they're going to be one of your best friends in order to figure out those troop counters. Okay, well that's going to do it for this one. Thank you very much for staying to the end. Let me know in the comments if there are any other tips or tricks I should cover. Also let me know if you'd be interested in seeing me live stream any of this gameplay to explain some of these concepts live. If this video helped, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next ones. Until then, good luck on the battlefield.